Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to a season to forget. I am one of your co-hosts, Manny Martin. You may know me from the roast of Doug Baldwin, the roast of Tyler Lockett, or the roast of Michael Bennett. I want to apologize to all of those guys for the horrible things that I have said. I am also the recipient of the Coaches Award and what was it? 01? No, 0001 season. And it was given to me by the man to my left, the man, the myth, the legend, the Auburn Mountain View athletics director, our former high school basketball coach, the one, the only, Chris Carr. How you doing today, Carr?
I'm doing great. Good to be here. Good to see you. You too. Maybe not your faces, but I mean, it's good to see you in presence.
I'm excited, man. This is going to be great. And to my bottom, right below us, he was the varsity assistant coach for the Enumclaw Hornets. I don't know why he decided to choose that team. He's also the 9900 Kent Lake Varsity Coaches Award recipient. My bestie, the one, the only, Jeffrey Stephen Rountree. How you doing, Jeff?
Hey, everybody.
Yeah, man. So this is the first episode, guys. I want to thank you so much for tuning in. We got a lot to cover tonight. And we actually have some breaking news, which is very interesting today. It sounds like, and actually this has been confirmed, Carson Wentz was traded to the Indianapolis Colts, thus making Jalen Hurts the foreseeable starter for next year, which now, this was brought up by Carr today, which makes, for an interesting statistic, there isn't a single quarterback that's been drafted between 2009 and 2016 still with their original team, and that's totaling 22 quarterbacks.
First round
quarterbacks, yeah, which is crazy to me, and which also brings up and leads us into our first topic of the evening, which is Russell Wilson and the possible trade. I know that the Seahawks said that they're not going to trade him, but we've been back and forth for a while about this. For those of you who don't know, we go back and forth on text during games, and, you know, I'm back and forth with this, but let's go ahead and start with you, Carr. What are your thoughts on Russell Wilson and his amazing salary of, you know?
Let's first say that I've had to call AT&T and extend my
your data plan?
Yeah, his YouTube clowns. Okay, let me just start by saying this. I'm going to throw out some facts, okay? And then you guys can go on with your idiotic opinions about my facts. So you can say whatever you want, but let me just state some facts.
If you mention 2012, I'm going to discredit everything you just say.
Okay, hang on. But let's just say this.
Yeah.
While you were at work, I was doing my research. So here we go. Last 10 Super Bowls.
Okay.
Quarterbacks accounted for 8.4% of their team's salary cap.
Okay.
Let's go down the list. Mahomes, 2.4%. And obviously he's still on a rookie deal. I get it.
Yep.
Brady in 19, 12.4. In 18, Foles was 1.0. Wentz was 3.6. Got to kind of combine the two.
Right.
Brady was 8.9% in 17. And I'll just go down the list. Peyton Manning, 12.2. Brady, 11.1. I'm going to skip 14. Flacco was 6.6. Eli was 11.7. Rodgers was in an uncapped year, which shocked me. And Breeze was 8.7 in 2010. Okay, so going back to 2014, you know what Russ's percentage of Seahawks salary cap was in 2014?
What was it?
0.6.
It was a third-round pick.
I get it, and I agree with you in that respect. So you have a ton of money, right. to spend on the highest paid O-line, on a great D. I get it. And by the way, the next year, he was also 0.6. Right? So
and then he lost the Super Bowl, right?
And he lost the Super Bowl. By the way,
the defense gave up a 10-point lead in the second half. Okay.
Well, you're absolutely right, but statistics don't lie. These are facts.
Right.
Nobody making more than 13% has won a Super Bowl. Now, Matt Ryan could have obliterated that stat, except he blew a 28-3 lead.
Good point.
Right? If that happens, we're not even talking about this because it blows it out of the water. Same thing with Peyton Manning in, I think, 2010. They had a 10-point lead. and he was making 17.2% of his team's cap. So to kind of get to Jeff's point, is it possible? I mean, Russ making 19, it's not. I don't think it's possible for them to win the Super Bowl. If it comes down, I think it is.
Right.
You know, Lamar Jackson. So you're looking at this year. Dak was 15-9. Russ was 15-6. Goff was 14-6. Jimmy G was 13-4. Rivers, Brady, 12-6. Ben, 12. Rodgers was only 10.9. So if you're going to say, hey, who has the best chance? You know, Lamar Jackson at 1-3, 1-4, or Rodgers at 10.9. Yeah, they have a chance because they can do some things around him. Jeff, to you, can they do it at 19?
Yeah, they can do it. They got to draft better. I think trading Russell Wilson for a bunch of lottery tickets isn't really going to get you that much, considering the Seahawks' recent draft history. They can't hit on anybody.
When you say
you're going to trade your best player,
they have to have draft picks to draft better.
Right.
So I mean, that's part of the equation too, right? So with their limited draft capital, and I agree with you 100%. I mean, they got to quit saying, we've had this discussion before. Hey, here's a guy that played, rugby in 2007, and he looks like he's pretty good. So let's try him at the offensive line.
Right? I just want them to draft somebody, and you're like, oh, I've heard of that guy before.
Exactly. Or they got to go out and sign a stud, something. But with the limited draft capital, can they do it?
Right. To you, Jeff, your thoughts?
It's going to be hard this year. Yeah, they don't have a lot of draft capital and not a lot of cap room, but Seahawks aren't in the worst cap shape as opposed to some other teams out there like New Orleans, like $100 million over the cap or something like that. So.
Right, but with Breeze is also leaving, so I mean that's going to open up quite a bit of money for them. It sounds like, which is
but they still have a lot of holes to plug there. I mean, all they got is Michael Thomas.
Yeah, I mean, truth be told, they don't even for sure have a quarterback. I mean, Jameis Winston, you could probably sign him. Taysom Hill, I think, would be a good option, but I think that they want to stick with a true quarterback and keep Taysom currently where he is. But, yeah, your thoughts, Jeff? I mean, I don't know. I'm along the mindset of at some point you're going to have to make that deal with him to either cut his pay or you're going to have to let him go because, I mean, don't get me wrong, gets us to the playoffs every year, best pick, and I don't know, since 2012.
Yeah. All those teams you just rattled off with those quarterbacks, a lot of like old quarterbacks. I didn't hear a lot of young quarterbacks that were in there. I know, Josh Allen, Baker Mayfield got their team to the playoffs, but I mean, I think just trading somebody who's gotten you a winning record every single year and gotten you to the playoffs every year, but one, he's been professional. It's hard to just let that guy walk out.
Totally.
Then,
yeah.
Like I said, then you have a lottery ticket, and based on the Seahawks' recent draft history, I mean, LJ Collier in the first round, Rashad Penny in the first round, Jordan Brooks, he's probably going to be all right. But
so, how much of this is how much do you think the Seahawks really think about us as fans? Like, hey, if we trade Russ, there's going to be an uprising, right? I mean, but knowing full well, if they looked at the data, they'd say, hey, the smartest thing to do would be to trade Russ to free up, $35 million. Like you said, they couldn't do it this year with the cap hit they have with a signing bonus. But I mean, how much do you think? Hey, bottom line is yes, we want to win a Super Bowl, but bottom line is money.
Is the bottom line,
right? And they're doing well. I mean,
fans in the seats. I mean, and I still think Russell Wilson gives you the best chance to win.
Well, let me ask you guys this then. Let's say, for instance, you have the craziest scenario. Let's say the Jets approach you. Let's say the Jaguars approach you, and they're like, "Hey, we're going to give you a first-round draft pick." Would you take a Trevor Lawrence? Would you take a Justin Fields in that scenario over Russell Wilson? Trade him away, save some money, and at the same time, maybe have a young quarterback who you can build around. I don't know.
We've had this conversation right now, and Jeff's right, because it's hard to. I mean, the reason they get paid the money they do, it's hard to evaluate incoming NFL talent? Is it going to
Totally.
translate, right?
Yeah.
Is their game going to translate to the NFL? If you offered me Tua, number 3 pick, and number, 17, Jeff?
17 or 18, yeah.
I think I'd take it. Now, I don't think Tua is near the player that Russ is. No, don't get me wrong.
Right.
But I do think with number 3, and even change the scenario. I mean, make it a different player so you could take, one of those quarterbacks, Fields, or the BYU kid Wilson.
Right.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. It's like it's
You
just
gotta get difference makers, though.
that's true. That's true. 100%.
I think it'd be hard to get rid of your best player.
Yeah. I mean, let's
every team's out there looking for a quarterback, and you finally found one, and he's got at least, I don't know, 5, 6, who knows, 10 years left. I mean, quarterbacks don't get hit anymore. So,
well, I mean, the way Russ gets hit, you don't see too many flags coming out. I mean, I've seen guys take him out at the legs and at the head and not catch a flag on that. And, he's running into some of these sacks.
Still never missed a game.
I mean, he's never missed a game, but he does have nano bubble water. So, I mean, that's something that keeps him. So, fast forwarding. So I think we're kind of decided on that. Keep Russell Wilson, do your best to build around him.
The hell was that?
Oh, I mean, no, okay.
Okay.
The decision's been made for you.
Okay. All right.
All these years getting back at me.
All right. So Carr's along the mindset.
Into the bench, coach.
So Carr's along the mindset. Get rid of him. We're along the mindset of keep him. I think ultimately,
Manny, can you put out like a Twitter poll, because you have like 87 followers? So I'm just curious how many.
For sure. You know what? I'll put out a Facebook poll. We'll see how many people. I mean, quite a bit of Seattle fans.
But here's the thing. Here's the caveat. You have to put out a poll first. Do you want to win a Super Bowl? Yes or no? Because if the question's yes, then obviously the question is relevant.
Yeah.
If not, keep him.
Yeah. I mean,
you gotta put fans in the seats. I get it.
Yeah. But I mean,
good value for Seattle.
Yeah. I mean, but we got to think of we have to also remember this, right? Richard Sherman and the Legion of Boom put butts in the seats as well, but we had to get rid of him at some point, right? So no more Cam Chancellor, no more Earl Thomas, although those were kind of difficult personalities to deal with. But at the same time, I mean, look who Russell's becoming. He's becoming Mrs. Sierra. So, that's opening up a whole nother can of worms. So, we'll definitely see. So I'll put out a poll. We'll see. For those of you watching, be on the lookout for that. I'll probably post that on Saturday or even maybe Friday. No, we'll wait till Saturday so people have had a chance to watch this, and we'll get your take on it. See what you think. Moving on.
The 4 people that.
Yeah, the 4 people that are listening to this. Yeah, Jeff's mom and dad, my mom, and then whoever else is listening to this. Oh man, so good. In other news, Russell has had some say in the offensive coordinator. It sounds like we did pick up Shane Waldron from the Rams. What are you guys' thoughts on releasing Schottenheimer and picking up a new offensive coordinator who's never officially called a play in a real game? I mean, he's called it an offseason, in the offseason, or not offseason, sorry, preseason. But, what are your thoughts on this guy? 41 years old.
Go, Jeff.
I like the hire. I think they need to change up the offense. It's getting kind of boring just watching Russell Wilson try and throw it 50 yards down the field to DK Metcalf. As successful as it was for the first 8 games of the season, you need to have some underneath and some middle of the field stuff too. So hopefully they can get the ball out of his hands quicker. That would cut down on sacks quite a bit. I think he was held the ball like 5th longest in the league or something like that.
Yeah.
So
also, most sacks over 9 years, right? What was it? Like
394 or something like that.
Oh, gosh, man. Sacks. Once again, nano bubbles.
Some of those are on him. Some of those are on him.
Yeah, I mean, definitely some of those are on him. But, just like DK and Tyler Lockett said, teams started figuring them out, right? So it's like you just cover deep. I mean, it's kind of the same thing that I think that Tampa Bay did to Kansas City, right? It's like you cover deep. And then you just make them play underneath the whole time. And we just didn't have an underneath game. I mean, it didn't seem like, what we always talk about during our tech streams, that tight end game really wasn't doing much this year. But you paid Greg Olsen a ton of money and, nothing. So,
yeah,
your thoughts?
I don't know. I want to be a fly on the wall somewhere and know how this all played out. I don't think this was Russ's guy.
Yeah.
I think they made it sound like, oh, this is who he's after all along. Well, what are you going to say?
Right.
Right? I mean, now you can't go backwards. I think maybe that's why, Russ has kind of become vocal after the hire, is that, if this is our guy, then something's got to happen. And it'll be interesting, him bringing his, I think that undervalued piece of this is him bringing his offensive line compadre with him.
Yeah, I agree.
That might change a little bit too, as far as some of the schemes that the O line runs, and like Jeff said, getting the ball out of his hand quicker.
Mm-hmm.
Were you hoping for maybe somebody else then, like Anthony Lynn or Adam Gaze or one of these retreads?
No, I wasn't, but I to Manny's point, I was expecting someone that had called a play before.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's just you didn't coach. You weren't a head coach until somebody let you be a head coach, or
right.
Eric Bieniemy didn't call plays until Andy Reid let him call plays, and Sean McVay didn't call plays until they let him call plays. So you gotta take a chance on somebody. And
I think that's the movement in the NFL, whether it be a head coach or coordinators. You're taking these young guys that are, show a lot of promise, maybe in the film room or on the practice field or in preseason. You take these guys and you say, you know what, go. And I don't think it's a bad move. And maybe it was I think they were looking for somebody young. I'm not sure Waldron was the guy from the beginning, but I don't think they were really serious about Doug Peterson, or even though he's a Ferndale Eagle. Go Eagles.
Yeah. It's just it's interesting to me, because I do think whoever you're hiring as the offensive coordinator at this point, you're probably looking for them to take over the role of head coach at some point, right? I mean, who else is going to step in and take over for Pete? Because how many more years does Pete have on him? I mean, what is he, damn near 70?
Yeah.
You just signed an extension. He's got like 4 more years.
Yeah, 4 more years. But I mean, at some point, you can't be as old as the president, coaching football, so it's like he's running up and down the field, chewing that gum. What did he? I feel like did he break a foot, or he took one in the face at some point? So it's just like, it's definitely slowing down. I'm not trying. You know what? Let me clear that up. Let me be PC Manny for a minute. You know what?
Manny?
Yeah. Here on the Season to Forget podcast, I just want to say ageism is never appropriate, but we support all coaches. It doesn't matter how old you are. It's about how sharp your mind is. So yeah, back to you guys.
Thanks for the PSA.
Yeah, I definitely think that, age had something to do with it, get some, but I think, Shoddy was a scapegoat.
Mm-hmm.
You can't tell me this guy's been in the NFL that long and didn't have, underneath routes to throw or to put in a game plan. Right. They took him that long, 8 games, to figure out, wow, that's not working. We should do something different. I mean, obviously there was a disconnect somewhere, whether it's what Pete wanted, or I just think that banging your head against the wall and saying, no, keep doing it, it's gonna work.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't think that was happening. I think there was something that caused that, essentially, at the end of it, the separation between, Schottenheimer and the Seahawks.
Yeah, I mean, I do think that those interceptions that Russ was throwing contributed to it, right? So it's like, Pete gives you free reign to kind of chuck the ball down the field, and then all of a sudden he's like, okay, the ball's getting intercepted. We got to get back to our run game. I want to see 50% run, 50% pass, and kind of go from there.
But he was like an MVP candidate, and he was lighting up the league.
I agree. I mean,
I don't know why you change just because he throws a couple interceptions and you go on a lose 3 out of 4. Like, big deal.
Yeah, things go in waves. I mean, in the NFL, and I mean, truth be told, how many records did we break with Schottenheimer this year, right? I mean, Tyler Lockett had a hell of a season. We had Russell with 40 touchdowns, DK with 1,300 yards. So I mean, it was working. Yeah, it was working until it wasn't working, right? So ultimately,
a little shout out to us old guys, right? We're kind of stuck in our ways a little bit,
right?
And Pete knows that winning the Super Bowl, the recipe for that was not what he was seeing in the first 8 games.
Yeah.
Right. And so any hint of it going wrong, I think probably for him was, well, let's go back to what has worked in the past. And I think he might have been just sitting there waiting for it to happen.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know, waiting for it to start to go downhill a little bit. Like Jeff said, probably not a time to panic, but maybe he did a little bit. And maybe he said, well, we're doing it my way.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah.
Yeah, but that didn't turn out so well either.
It's
They
not-
really had no identity.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Just because I want to say, like, we're so smart, and, you know, I think that we could easily take Schneider's job. Let's roll into offseason moves. Let's see who we would keep, who we would get rid of. All right.
Well, hey, before you say that.
Oh, yeah, go for it.
Did you see Chase Edmonds? He's
No.
running back for Arizona, right?
Mm-hmm.
Running back. Did you see his comment on Twitter? He said it's going to be interesting this offseason because it might be a situation where it'll be what do they call the NBA teams where all the stars get on the same team?
Like
a super team or whatever?
Yes, he's going to turn into super teams this year because of where the cap's going. He said you're going to see a lot of guys sign for low to win a Super Bowl, to create a super team. And then next year, hopefully the cap goes up and then walk away and get their money.
Crazy. Wow, that's going to be interesting. So I wonder who the team, I mean, do you go to Tampa Bay? Who do you think the most probable? Let's say you're in it for a ring this year. Which team do you jump on? Are you going to Green Bay? Are you going to Seattle? Are you going to Tampa? What's your most likely option?
I think either of those teams would be just fine.
Yeah. Or do you go to Kansas City?
I say Green Bay.
Yeah. I mean, the cold, though. I don't know if I could deal with that. That's one thing. Yeah.
You'd probably want to trade Aaron Rodgers, though, if you were in Green Bay. They're cold.
He makes 10.9% of their total cap.
Right.
20%.
Trade the MVP.
Man. Shout out to Aaron Rodgers. Well, moving on to what moves we would make. So let's look at cornerbacks. So Quinn Dunbar, you got Griffin, you got DJ Reed. Who are you getting rid of? Who are you keeping? And are there any prospects out there? I mean, I was actually doing some research. Jalen Ramsey, I didn't realize, still commands a $100 million contract with $20 million a year. So I don't think that any of these guys warrant that kind of money. But what would you have to pay Griffin and Dunbar to even, be an option?
Well, considering neither one of those are your best corners.
Yeah.
Right.
DJ Reed, I thought was the best corner this year.
Agreed.
You can lock him up for, I think, another year at least. But if you're going to ask me for one of the two, I think you got to kind of play, Dunbar, maybe take him down a notch because he didn't produce.
Right. And he was injured.
I mean, you're going to have to pay him. And I think I'd probably take the cheaper option. I think I'd take Dunbar and let Griffin walk.
Oh, I would let Griffin walk too. I don't like Griffin. I don't think he's that good. He wants to get paid like some elite player, and he went 2 years without an interception. I know he had a couple this year. He's good, but he's no Jalen Ramsey by any stretch of the imagination. So plus you're gonna have to pay Jamal Adams a pretty penny. So I don't think they're gonna be spending much on cornerback this year.
Yeah, I think they do go cheap on the corners. And again, with a second round pick, I mean, you got to draft well, like Jeff said. I mean, what's your most pressing need? You can get a good corner in the second round. You can get a good offensive lineman in the second round. So you go free agency for O-line, but draft corners, I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. Moving on to D-line. So Dunlap, it sounds like it's going to be about $14 million to sign him. Do you re-sign him? What do you think?
Well, they should. I think, the 14 million becomes guaranteed after a certain date. I can't remember the date, but they're not going to. They'll either release him outright or they'll restructure his contract. So I think he'll be back at a reduced cap rate. I don't know what that is. $8, $9, $10 million a year for a couple more years. I'd sign him up.
Yeah.
I would say this: if you're going to let anybody walk, I hate to say it, but I think it's Jaron Reed.
Yeah. Well, the thing with him is it sounds like 13.5 and he has $5 million in dead, so dead money. So, I mean, I guess that's not the end of the world, but, I would definitely keep Dunlap probably over Reed.
Dunlap made a difference. I mean, he absolutely, when he came in, I mean, things change. We went from, and I don't know the stat, but we went from what, 26th in the league in sacks to 8.
Yeah.
In a matter of what, 6 weeks that he was here.
Yeah.
I mean,
Impressive.
yeah. So, and obviously that having a healthy Jamal Adams that can lift his
Safety because of our strong safety.
Yeah, true. No, true, absolutely. But having Dunlap on that edge obviously frees some stuff up, for blitzing and it makes your corners better too, obviously.
Yeah.
So
totally. Okay. How about
how do you want to go? Do you want to have corners cover for 12 seconds, or do you want to have D linemen that can get in there and corners only have to cover for 3 or 4?
Totally. Yeah. I mean, makes their lives easier. Okay. How about Adams? So do we re-sign Adams? I mean, it sounds like how much is Budda Baker making in Arizona? I think like 15 million. So you probably have to pay him somewhere around that, I would guess, in order. Because
15, 16 million. I don't think, and at this point, you can't let him walk.
You can't.
Trade away 2 number ones. No, he's going to get re-signed. Even out just the, they don't want to make it look like they made a bad move. Save face.
Unless you can recoup those ones, which, and again, I mean, it goes back to what Jeff said at the opening is when you're drafting the first round, 24, 26, it's a crapshoot. I mean, those can be, now I'm not saying they won't be, NFL, 5-year guys, but they can be stars.
Right.
The star.
Definitely.
And I think Jeff's right. To make it look like you didn't make a bad move, giving up 2 number ones, you got to sign.
Definitely. Yeah. And I will say this about him. He seems like he's bought into the system. And I think you as a coach, that is like high on the list. And he recently just said he would run through a brick wall for Pete Carroll. So, sounds like he loves the guy and he loves playing for Seattle. So I definitely say keep him. Now getting to the heart of the team, this is a tough one right here. So we got Wagner and we got KJ Wright. So Wagner, 2 more years? We got KJ Wright, up for a new contract this year. Who do you let walk? I mean, do you let them both go and try to build on, rookies, or their younger talent? What would be your option? Let's start with you, Jeff.
Time to get younger. Can't sign KJ Wright. Great player, but you can be too expensive. And you got Jordan Brooks here. You can't play KJ Wright over Jordan Brooks at this point. So I think you keep Wagner. Maybe he restructures. Let KJ go.
KJ gave you a team-friendly deal.
What's team-friendly?
$2 million less than market price. I mean, let's say $8 million.
Well, he was already $10 million this year, and then he was the only player with like 10 tackles for losses and 10 passes defended. Only player in the NFL. So,
right. So if he says 8, do you jump on it? I'm with you. I don't know that.
He's good. I don't think you can. He's a luxury at this point.
Oh, I'd have told you a year or 2 ago he's done. But the way he played this year,
last 2 years, I mean,
last 2 years he's been great.
Yeah.
So,
but he's
healthy.
Yeah, I mean that's another thing too. You got to realize, in the world of football, these guys are ancient now, right? So it's like it's just a matter of time until I mean, and that's me saying that from the 37 years old. Like these guys are way younger than me.
Are you ageism peopling again?
I know. Once again, I apologize for the ageism on the show. Not appropriate. But yeah, I'm with you. I think I'm with you guys. You got to let KJ walk. And maybe at some point, I think you got to let Bobby walk. I mean, it does sound like over the next 2 years, 27 million. So, and try to go younger, Yeah. So, then I wanted to ask you guys this because Jeff brought this point up in a previous conversation we had. Would
Jeff
you
made a point? Okay.
What was that? Yeah.
So good. We'll talk about it twice.
Would you guys get rid of Tyler Lockett to save some money? 6.8 million. I mean, he's such an elusive gadget guy, and he's been great over the years. But you do have DK, and you got David Moore, who's a hell of a talent and cheap. Do you take him, or do you stick with Lockett? I mean, Lockett is, hell of a receiver.
Okay, so I guess it all depends on where you allocate that money. If you're gonna dump Tyler Lockett to trade for Zach Ertz, okay, that's going to be over 3 on the tight end deals in the last, 8 years. Stop doing that.
Right.
I'm not in favor of that. If you're going to dump him to go out and sign, a Clooney or, a stud, guard, all pro guard, yeah, maybe. But I think what you're losing with Lockett too is he's such a great person and such a great locker room guy. He's never been a problem. I mean, it's easier to cut those guys that have been, kind of a pain in your ass and say, hey, we decided to move on. Moving on from him is tough because he's very productive. He's a great team guy. I don't know. I don't know if it'd have to depend on what it was.
It's so funny. I was about to be like looking at you, Voss and Emmett. So that's it. I'm just playing. Oh man. But no, I mean, he's one of those locker room guys, and that's such an important thing to have. I mean, I don't know how Russell is in the locker room. You know what's funny to me? I started noticing in those clutch games, though, Russell swears his ass off at the very end. He's dropping F-bombs and everything else. It's actually pretty impressive to see.
Like Phillip Rivers saying like, "Daggone it."
Yeah, it's hilarious. But I mean,
Phillip Rivers has 17 kids running around, so he's got to watch his mouth.
Exactly. Yeah, but I will say, Lockett, he's just a hell of a talent. And like you said, never a problem. So that's one of those guys I say you keep. What do you think, Jeff?
He's one of 2 All-Pros that they've had since 2012.
Yeah, good point.
So, I mean, I don't think you can get rid of him yet.
Yeah.
But I think you do need to find a tight end, and I think David Moore is not your number 3.
Yeah.
Receiver. You got to go out and get an actual like a Danny Amendola, Wes Welker, that kind of guy. Edelman.
Cooper Kupp.
Oh, there you go. That'd be nice. I mean, yeah. To all the people who are still with us, I just want to say how annoying it is to hear just Carr brag on Cooper Kupp during a Rams game. That's his guy. Oh man.
Jeez.
Yeah.
That's all he's got.
I think, you know what? I think out of the former Eastern Eagles that are in the NFL, the Rams have all of them.
Wow.
They have 3 of them. And then I think there's Kendrick Bourne at the 49ers and Tywan Jones at the Bills. And that's it. But 3 out of 5, they got 60% of the Eastern Eagles in the NFL.
I love it. All right. So we got 2 more Seahawk topics. And let's just jump into, do we keep Chris Carson, or do you got to go search for a new running back, or do you put your trust in Penny? What are you thinking?
I don't know if you can trust Penny, and for that matter, I don't know if you can really trust Chris Carson either. I don't know. Was Carson hurt at middle of the year? It seemed like he just stopped getting the ball. I didn't understand that. I thought they would just.
I think he had a foot problem this year. Cracked hip last year. The previous year, he had something else. So he's definitely injury prone.
But he was like fully healthy at the end of the year, and I thought they were just going to give. If Pete Carroll wants to run the ball, I don't know why he just didn't stick it in his gut 20 times.
Yeah, but I also think the O-line wasn't contributing to that, to opening up those lanes.
But we had Brandon Shell. I mean, come on.
That's an inside joke for everybody. Carr is in love with Brandon Shell. Swear.
Brandon Shell is an upgrade.
Yeah.
That's all I'll say.
I would just say by Pro Football Focus or whatever. So the Seahawks win rate on pass and blocking and run blocking were better than Tampa Bay's.
Wow.
So I don't think the Seahawks are that far away.
We sit here and say we could do John Schneider's job. Everything that you brought up, we're like, well, I don't know, right? I mean, This is so many tough decisions. But one thing I do know is there's a ton of running backs hitting the free agent market this year. A ton of them. I mean, you've got Kenyon Drake, you've got David Johnson, you've got, Duke Johnson could be a backup. You've got Carlos Hyde, you got Chris Carson. You've got so many running backs out there that you can choose from. I think you're going to be able to get one. I just don't know. Let's put it this way. I just don't know if you pay Carson $8 million a year to come back.
Right.
You can get him for 5, 6. Yeah, I think so. I mean, he's got to stay healthy though.
That's the thing. I mean, you wonder who would be interested. I mean, he's a hell of a runner when he's healthy. He finds those lanes and he breaks free. But, I think we're still looking for that Marshawn Lynch, just that back that, people can't take down. And I don't know. So, I mean,
Yeah,
for me,
people are still waiting for 1995 Mariners to walk through the door, but that ain't happening either. So
that's true. But, in my opinion, I don't think you could trust Penny. I think Penny's a little injury prone himself. I think you do got to hit the market, but can you afford a $15 million, running back? I don't know, 13 million.
Well, I'll defend Penny this way, that you're never very good the year after your ACL, but those guys that make it back are really good their second year back.
Okay. That's good.
I'll give him benefit of the doubt, but I do have doubts too. I mean, you go into this year saying you got Carson, Hyde, Penny. Wow. You're going to, like Jeff said, you're going to shove it in their gut 20 times and you're going to run over people. And it never happened.
Yeah.
I don't remember one game where it happened, really happened.
Yeah, maybe against the Jets, I think, but that was probably about it. So, yeah. Last question on the Hawks tonight. What do you do about the O-line? It seems to be Russell's biggest complaint. I definitely think you got to get rid of Mikey Upati. Definitely up there in age. Was very injured this year. I don't know if he'll be coming back. Definitely think you got to keep Dwayne Brown. Who else would you pick up?
Lineman? I don't know. Free agent lineman.
Yeah.
I think the two guards, the guy for Green Bay and the guy from Thuney from New England, the two guards, you've got to pick up. Jeff said it. A name we know.
Right.
Someone that's established that, can move people around and can get the job done, because you're right. The potty was, and it always seems like the Seahawks are like, hey, we got a real bargain here. $2 million, we're going to pay Mike Potty to come in and be our left guard, but the guy can only play, 30% of the snaps.
Right.
So really, what does that do you? I mean, you've got some in-house guys like, Jamarco Jones and the Haynes kid, but I think Jeff's right. I think you got to go out. There's one you've got to make a splash with.
Yeah.
And you've got to be able to get yourself a stud lineman to pair with Dwayne Brown, because you're not too far off looking for a left tackle.
Yeah, right.
Well, I was reading, there's a couple possible free agents even from the Rams. So you could, I think their Rams center was going to be a free agent. So if you bring somebody in from the Rams and they have a little bit of familiarity with the offense and the calls and the, I don't know if it's a zone blocking scheme or whatever, but you'll get some familiarity there. I think that would be not a bad idea.
Good point. And back to my point of ACLs, Justin Britt.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, does he come back? And he didn't latch on with anybody this season, but does he come back at a discount and play center?
Yeah, I mean, he was a hell of a center, so I'd say definitely pick him up if he's out there and he's still in shape. I mean, that would be definitely a great acquisition. So, final two questions of the evening. Let's start with the NFC West.
Took him on a game show.
I know, yeah. The NFC West. Do we think that the Niners are going to recede with Robert Saleh leaving, or do we think that they're going to stay a pretty strong defense?
They'll be great.
Yeah.
Shanahan's good. I mean, he knows what he's doing. I think I'm more scared of the 49ers than I am the Rams.
Okay.
Because I don't think Stafford fixes you.
That was actually my second question was,
we'll wait on it, but I think the Niners are just going to replace. Yeah, and remember, I mean, they had so many injuries.
Yeah.
That they're going to be better. Bosa's going to be back, and who knows if he's going to be great. Mm-hmm. But that first year, but they've got guys coming back. Didn't they lose a linebacker for the year?
I think they did.
They're going to be. I think they're going to be fine. If they can get a quarterback, they can throw the ball to Kittle.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Well, I still think the Rams are our biggest hump to get over. Their defense is still best in the West.
Yeah.
49ers have like 6
championships. That's weird. Their defense is still. Listen.
Okay, look, nobody can block Aaron Donald for 3.5 seconds, so it doesn't matter who's playing guard. No one's going to be able to block Aaron Donald for 3.5 seconds.
Yeah, that's a good point.
They did.
Yeah. Well, and the final question: will Larry Fitzgerald finally retire, or is he coming back?
I think he's out.
I think if he's smart, he's done.
Yeah, I mean, I've been thinking he's going to retire for the last 5 years, but I think this will finally be it. Um, Final question of the night: Super Bowl season ended. Is Tom Brady now the greatest quarterback, or is he the greatest athlete of all time?
No.
All right, so definitely not the greatest athlete. Is he the greatest
Right.
quarterback?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely. I mean, he should have 5 rings instead of 7. Right? Should have lost to Atlanta. Should have lost to Seattle, but that's all right. Maybe he should have beat the Giants that year. But you know what? I mean, I'm not a Brady fan, but everything he does and everything that people say his work ethic, his preparation, his his willingness to take a lower salary because he wants to win a Super Bowl.
Yep.
It's GOAT material.
Yeah, I agree. What are your thoughts, Jeff?
Yeah, he's the best. I mean, it's hard to argue with 7 rings. I mean, no one's even close anymore. So
yeah, I mean, more championships than any franchise. That's amazing to me. But who is? Let me ask you guys this: who is the greatest athlete of all time?
Easy answer. Go ahead, Joe. I'll tell you who it is, but easy answer.
Greatest athlete of all time. Man, I wasn't expecting this question.
This is a random one.
I know. It's so hard.
Bill Russell?
No. It's a simple, and he was a 2-sport athlete, professional athlete.
Bo Jackson.
You better believe it.
Oh, wow. Okay. That's
without a question, best athlete to ever play professional sports. I mean, in my opinion,
yeah.
The guy was superhuman.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Still got a poster in my room.
Nice. Yep. There you go.
Right next to Farrah Fawcett's.
Oh man, I love it.
Might have been a mileage out of one of those, that's for sure.
You got like Farrah Fawcett hair there, buddy.
I know.
The mullet, I love it. So good. Oh man. All right. Well, that does it for us here on the Season to Forget podcast. Thank you guys so much for tuning into the first episode. Anything you guys want to plug before we tune out?
No.
All right. I got nothing to plug. It's been great visiting with you guys. Manny is the best.
Hey, likewise, man. And I just want to, I don't know if I addressed this up front. I apologize if I didn't. Mark Shampoo couldn't make it tonight. He did have explosive diarrhea, and we do apologize. He's getting it checked out, and we hope to have him at a later date. I don't know. We might not, though. We may not,
Nerves do that to people.
They do.
When you get nervous, sometimes people react differently.
They do.
Mark was always one of those guys that never knew which direction he was going to go, but explosive diarrhea is a problem. It is.
Oh man, yeah. So
we love you.
We do. We love you, man. And so we'll be back next month. And I'll post and I'll let you guys know. If you have any questions you want to email, feel free to email mannymartinjr@gmail.com. That's MannyMartinjr@gmail.com. Or go ahead and comment in the link on Facebook that I'll be posting. Ask any question that you want. Carl will answer it. Jeff will answer it. And who knows? Next episode, we may recap our amazing 2000-2001 season, man, where we dominated. We won a championship. We rewrote history. It was great. All led by the greatest coach in the world. And you know what? I wanted to tell everybody.
Mark Gall the coach then?
What was that?
Is Mark Gall the coach then?
That was 2002, Jeff. That was 2002.
I dare you to find documentation that states otherwise.
Oh man. And what was I gonna say? Next episode we may talk a little bit about our season, some of the accolades. I think the fans want to know more about what's been going on with you, Carr. So it's gonna be it'll be a fun episode. We'll talk about baseball. I think preseason will be coming up by then. A few trades have been made.
Spring training.
Yeah, spring training. Yeah, all that good stuff. I don't know. I'm just blabbering at this point. But once again, thank you guys so much for tuning in, and we really appreciate you. Everybody have a good day.